The city of Altheris was not supposed to exist anymore. That's what everyone in the coastal kingdoms believed. The desert had claimed it centuries ago, swallowing its walls, palaces, and people without leaving a trace. Old traders spoke of it in taverns, a city of gold and silver, ruled by an emperor whose crown was made of a single flawless diamond. When the sandstorms came, Altheris disappeared overnight. No ruins, no bones, no rubble. Just empty desert where streets had been. Some said the city had been cursed for its greed. Others whispered it had never truly been built of stone, but of magic, and magic had taken it back. Miren Velas grew up hearing those stories. She was a caravan guide, used to crossing the wastes with merchants who feared losing their way. She didn't believe in vanishing cities. She believed in landmarks, water rations, and avoiding storms. Until the night she saw Altheris. The caravan had been traveling for weeks, heading north toward the sapphire mines. The sun was sinking when Miren noticed something strange. The horizon was wrong. The dunes ahead were broken, scattered with angles and shadows that shouldn't be there. She climbed the nearest rise and froze. Below lay a city bathed in twilight, its walls gleaming faintly like wet stone. Lanterns burned in the streets. She could hear faint music, flutes, drums, laughter. The air smelled of spices and flowers she didn't recognize. "Miren," one of the merchants called. "What is it?" She didn't answer. She was already heading down toward the gates. The gates were open, unguarded. Inside, the streets were alive, men and women in long silks, children running between stalls, guards in armor polished bright as mirrors. The people glanced at her but didn't seem surprised to see a stranger. She passed a fountain where water shimmered under colored lamps. A woman in green offered her a slice of fruit that looked like a jewel. Miren hesitated, then took it. The taste was sweet, with a faint metallic tang. It should have been impossible. This city had been gone for 300 years. At the center of Altheris rose the Emperor's palace. Towers stretched into the night sky, their tips crowned with fire that burned without smoke. A guard approached her at the steps. His face was smooth, unlined, but his eyes were deep and tired. "The Emperor requests your presence." Miren had no reason to agree. But something in the air, a pull, like the current of a river, drew her forward. The throne room was vast and lined with glass pillars filled with faintly glowing liquid. Upon the throne sat the Emperor. He was ageless, his hair black as ink, his robes heavy with gold embroidery. But his skin had the same faint gleam as the walls. "Traveler," he said, his voice smooth as silk, "you have found my city." "I didn't find it," Miren said. "It wasn't here before." "It is here when it chooses to be," the Emperor replied. "And you were chosen to enter." She didn't understand. She wanted to leave, yet she could feel the weight of the air pressing her to stay. The Emperor rose and stepped toward her. "Altheris does not vanish, Miren Velas. It walks." The floor trembled beneath her feet. Before she could speak, the music outside stopped. A strange hush fell over the streets. "It is time," the Emperor said, his eyes like polished stone. "The city moves again." Miren staggered as the floor swayed beneath her. The sensation was impossible. The ground itself was shifting, the walls groaning softly like the hull of a great ship. The Emperor gestured to one of the glowing glass pillars. Within, shapes swirled, rooftops, minarets, whole neighborhoods bending and twisting. "My city," he said softly, "is not bound to one place. We walk between worlds, between moments. Each time we appear, someone from the outside is invited in." "Why?" she asked. His smile was thin. "Because the city must feed." Miren's throat tightened. "Feed on what?" "You will see." The tremor grew stronger. The air shimmered like heat haze, and the light from the pillars flickered. Outside, the streets blurred. The sky above twisted into colors Miren had never seen, deep blues threaded with silver, crimson clouds rolling like waves. The people of Altheris moved calmly, as if this were routine. Some vanished into their homes, others simply stood still, eyes closing. Miren ran to the door, pushing past the guards. The streets stretched away into the shifting haze. Beyond the walls, there was no desert, only an endless, glittering void. From that void, shapes emerged. They were tall, draped in flowing shadows, their faces smooth and pale, like masks without features. They walked soundlessly, and wherever they passed, the lanterns dimmed. The first of them reached a fruit seller. It placed a hand on his shoulder, and the man dissolved into mist, which the figure drew into itself. Then it moved on. Miren backed away, heart pounding. The shadow beings moved deliberately, choosing people at random. No one screamed. No one ran. She reached the gate, but where the open desert should have been, there was nothing, just more void. The walls were no longer stone but glass, and beyond them, Miren saw hundreds of other cities drifting in the darkness like islands. The Emperor appeared beside her without a sound. Do you understand now? We trade our place in the desert for a place in the crossing. We give the gatekeepers their due, and they let us walk the sands again. How long until the city returns to the desert? Miren asked. A day. Perhaps 2. He studied her. You may leave then if you wish. But you will not want to. Why not? Because once you've walked in Altheris, the desert will never satisfy you again. Miren didn't answer. She looked out at the void, at the cities floating like fireflies, and knew he was right. When Altheris reappeared in the wastes 2 days later, the merchants waiting for her never saw her again. They claimed they heard music on the wind, faint and far away. And sometimes, when caravans pass certain dunes at dusk, they swear they see lantern light dancing over walls that weren't there before.